Good afternoon, Tony Dottino here, founder of the USA Memory Championship. And I'm really the author of two books. One was Brain Smart Leaders, and the second was Grassroots Leaders. So I had the pleasure of co-authoring books with Tony Buzan and Richard Israel, which I rarely talk about, but my goodness, those were really intense endeavors that I did that actually picked up some of the elements of memory, which since COVID, I've spent more time in learning about memory and more to help people get through the stressful times of COVID and isolation and what that means to their long-term mental health and their cognitive functions. And here comes the November issue of Consumer Reports on Health. It's a good issue. I do subscribe to lots of different magazines and science reports, and Consumers Reports on Health comes up with this article on the best ways to protect your memory. And again, it taps into a lot of the things that you'll find on the USA Memory Championship website. But here's a bit of what they've got to say. Physical changes help explain the mental shifts that come with aging. And I don't care what age you are. These are things that are applicable to all ages, because some of the tips that they give apply to any age. So I still get sometimes frustrated when people distinguish activities that we should do for mental health by age, since, as you'll see in a few minutes, it really doesn't matter. Think about risk and protective factors of what you can do to help minimize the potential of dementia or some form of cognitive impairment. Nearly half of all, now this is a pretty bold statement, and it comes out of Lancet magazine, a medical magazine that's published. According to a report in Lancet, worldwide dementia could be cut in half if you followed some of these tips that we're now going to talk about. I mean, that's a dementia cut in half by following what? Regular physical activity. You've heard me talk about exercise. Probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but my good, some form of physical exercise. And what I keep saying to people, you don't need to be a marathon racer, you don't have to be a bodybuilder, but being actively engaged. This recommends 150 minutes of moderate physical activity per week. Walking would be a good one. Taking a walk now. I don't do 150 minutes of running or walking or that. I do a mix of 100 minutes of physical activity, intense physical activity. I do some stretching with bands and things. I do some of my own physical activities with 3 or 5 pound weights. So I mix it to get a diversity of flexibility of my muscle, certainly my aerobic activity, and certainly flexibility of tilting or falling, keeping my balance. So there's a variety of things you can do. Now, how about a balanced diet? We've talked about diet and the importance of nutrition. As people age, healthy eating plans, plant-based foods, low saturated fat, linked with fewer cognitive lapses and a lower rate of Alzheimer's. There's specific diets now that come out of the brain-boosting meal that comes out of the Mediterranean intervention. Now again, this has been around for so many years for heart health. But what people don't realize, a lot of things that are good for your heart, because of the oxygen you breathe, are also good because your brain consumes about 20 to 25% of the oxygen we breathe is consumed by our brain. So there's, to me, sensible links that suggest that what you do for your heart is also good for your brain. So if you're smoking, you might want to lose weight. You certainly want to look at blood pressure. You want to focus on your A1C blood sugar. You want to keep your cholesterol at a reduced risk for heart disease, which now is also linking it to dementia. So these are things that you should be doing on a normal basis for heart health. And now what they're suggesting here is these are also things you should be doing that impact your mental fitness and your cognitive health as well. A balanced diet. What about stress management? What we know is periods of prolonged stress, we spike the cortisol in our body, spike the cortisol that's impacting your brain, and what we know is an excess amount of that is detrimental to your whole body's immune system. So let's just put the body into one system, and that's where, doctors are now so isolating. Now we'll take this part of the head and we'll chop it into your ears and your nose and your throat and into your brain and probably 8 other possibilities. But the body's a holistic system. So who are some of the people that are in the healthcare world that understand the holistic system of a body, that which may hurt your toe may eventually get up to your knee and may get to your hip, may get to your neck and your shoulders. So the importance is to find people that look at the human body in a holistic fashion. And this is just basically saying stress management is one of those things that has an impact on cortisol, which impacts your brain's immune systems, which impacts your body's fight or flight, and you don't want to maintain a body that's in a fight stage 24/7. It's not healthy, it's not going to last, and it's going to impact your mental health, and it's probably going to kill you as well. How about sleeping? Oh my goodness. They suggest we have some good sleeping practices, which we should be doing. It'll help slow cognitive decline. Well, why? Because sleeping, we've learned, has an impact on purifying and cleaning out the toxins that have been entered into your brain during the day. And therefore, good sleeping habits give you that deep sleep that allows the brain to do its cleansing. And whoever stops and thinks about, my goodness, when I'm sleeping, my brain is being cleansed. It's like, where does this stuff come from? Well, the research they're doing, and this is where they talk about the Lancet Journal, a highly respected medical journal, clearly is coming up with summarizing things that the science world has been discovering over the last several years. Even moderate, let's go back to exercise, right? So let me just give you this. A 2022 review of 58 studies found that physical activity was linked to a decreased risk of dementia. Even mild to moderate exercise has an impact, says the Gerontology School of the University of Southern California. Of all my patients, those who have structured and consistently performed exercise routines are the ones who do the best. So the question is can you put structure into your life that brings exercise into it? Can you bring nutritional habits into it? Can you think about the things that you need to do to get yourself a good night's sleep and a good night's rest? These are some fundamental things that I've been talking about for the last several years, and the Consumer Report here is basically just confirming that these are good things that we should all be doing. And then it adds to it, you've heard me on this one a whole bunch of times, stay socially engaged. And I say that even to kids. You want to have friends, you want to have a network of people you can talk with, you can hang with. Research shows that those that have good social contacts benefit the brain by building cognitive reserve. And they promote healthy behaviors and they reduce stress and then the inflammation that takes place in the body. How about your hearing and vision? I'm reading more and more about hearing and its impact on cognitive function and our vision. Hearing loss often goes untreated, but a growing body of evidence shows that as the severity of hearing loss increases, the risk of developing dementia rises proportionately. Older adults who experience vision loss have a 50% higher dementia risk. The declines may mean that less activity in certain brain areas and often less social interaction and physical activity will lead to dementia. Wow. We may be able to slow cognitive decline by using hearing aids, exercising, being checked out properly for our eyes. And then it goes on to talk about avoiding air pollution, cities that have air. Now, if you live in a city with air, but New York City, look, inhaled particles of pollution get into your lungs, into your bloodstream, and travel to the brain. Living in areas with poor air pollution, such as next to highways, can increase your risk of developing dementia. And these are the things that we talk about over and over again. As the science has gotten so much better and our research institutes have gotten so much more study on it, that all have the benefits of minimizing dementia, Alzheimer's, and different thoughts. And then it talks about, well, what are some of the other things you might can do? And this is having a stimulating social interaction is crucial. And last but not least, learning new skills, which is why I find that learning how to improve your memory, which helps you to learn and retain what you learn better, all grows these new networks of neurons and dendrites and axons and has a powerful impact of giving you more mass of strength. It's like building a muscle inside your brain that helps you to ward off the impacts of dementia and or cognitive impairment. And that is my Wednesday Live with Tony. It's been a good day. I had a chance to go to the Memory Institute over at the YMCA here and Dr. Phillips. Great group of people. What a difference it's making in their lives. And it gives me a lot of pleasure to watch it and feel fun and enjoyable, and seeing the difference that something like what they're doing at the YMCA here is having on the lives of the people attending this workshop. Have a good rest of your week. We're at the middle of it. We'll see you back here on Friday.